Turul's gaze shifted from the advancing guards to the figures being roughly pushed to the forefront. His heart sank as he recognized them. Tied up and looking battered were three of his fellow rebels, their eyes meeting his in a silent plea for help.
Slave, these are what you're looking for, aren't they?
King Rossz called out mockingly, his grin widening at the apparent surprise on his former slave's face. The captured rebels were forced to their knees, each guard's blade at their throats, gleaming threateningly in the dawn light. The muscular fighter felt a surge of anger, his grip tightening around his swords. He took a deep breath and knew what the king was trying to do. His comrades looked at him, their eyes filled with trust, despite the situation. He would save them. He had to. The king reveled in his perceived victory, confident that the young rebel would be forced into surrender.
An eye for an eye, slave,
Rossz shouted from his safe perch above.
For every one of my men you harm, one of your friends will meet their end.
His words sent a wave of terror through his enemy. Turul steeled his gaze, taking in the sight of his comrades, their lives hanging in the balance. His eyes met each of theirs, silently conveying his promise. He would not let them down. King Rossz's patience wore thin as he watched Turul's unwavering defiance. A cold, hard edge replaced the mockery in his voice.
Enough of this. Surrender your swords,
he commanded, his eyes narrowing to dangerous slits.
Do it now, or watch them die.
The resilient warrior's heart pounded hard, his mind racing. He knew that Rossz would have no reason to keep him or his comrades alive if he surrendered. But if he refused, his friends would be executed on the spot. He was trapped in a vicious game with no way out. The silence that followed the king's ultimatum was deafening. The cold morning air felt heavy with anticipation, the mood tense. Turul could feel the weight of the guard's eyes on him, and the fearful yet trusting gazes of his captured comrades. He knew that every choice he made had consequences, and he faced an impossible decision. Finally, Turul's gaze shifted from his comrades to the king. His grip on his swords momentarily tightened before he let out a deep sigh. A resigned calmness replaced the defiant spark in his eyes. Rossz had set the trap, and he had walked right into it. He had no choice but to play along. For now. slowly. He lowered his swords, his gaze never leaving Rossz's. He could see the king's grin widen, his eyes gleaming triumphantly. The cold metal clanged loudly as it hit the stone floor, the sound echoing through the silence of the deck.
I surrender my swords.
The young hero declared, his voice steady and unwavering.
Now, let my comrades go.
The king's laughter filled the deck again, cold and heartless.
Oh, my hero.
He replied, his voice dripping with mock pity.
You really thought it would be that easy, didn't you?
To Rossz, the giving and retracting of hope were to him like the strings of a puppet, and he was the master puppeteer. Each tug brought a flood of emotion, a symphony of despair that he reveled in. It was not enough to defeat a person physically. He wanted more. He sought to shatter the spirit, break the will, and crush the very essence of hope. As the king's chilling command echoed off the cold stone walls, a group of guards descended from the wooden walkway. As they landed on the castle deck, they swiftly surrounded the unarmed fighter, their menacing figures closing in on him from all sides. There was no hesitation in their eyes, no glimmer of sympathy. They were under orders, and those orders did not include mercy. With a nod from their leader, they lunged at Turul, their intentions clear. Yet, as much as their hatred and cruelty poured into their attacks, their blows were calculated, designed to inflict pain without causing visible damage. It was a cruel twist of their king's cruel game. Torture without leaving a mark. Inflict pain without spilling blood. Their fists came down like hammers on an anvil, relentless and punishing. The boots landed with sickening thuds against the rib cage, each hit reverberating through his body. Yet, even as the pain mounted, the enduring captive stood tall, gritting his teeth against the onslaught. Even the handles of their swords, instruments of death, were used in their cruel ballet of torment. They crashed against his muscular back, against his limbs, each hit drawing an involuntary grunt from the steadfast rebel. Turul, in his growing despair, had no choice but to endure. Stripped of his weapons and outnumbered, he could not fight back without risking his comrades' lives. So, he accepted the torment, using every ounce of his willpower to withstand their assault, refusing to give Rossz the satisfaction of hearing him cry out in pain. As the guards continued their brutal assault, the captured warrior fixed his gaze on King Rossz. The smug smile on the king's face was slowly fading, replaced by a look of perplexed frustration. Then, Rossz raised his hand, signaling the guards to stop. They stepped back, panting heavily, their faces red with exertion and surprise. They had thrown everything at this young rebel. Yet, he remained standing. King Rossz's voice rang out, loud and clear, echoing around the castle's stone walls.
Take him to the main dungeon, and report back when he's ready.
His command, devoid of any hint of urgency, held an underlying note of anticipation, as though he derived pleasure from the imminent suffering that awaited Turul.